Howdy. Welcome into week 12 of the It's About Us podcast. I'm your host, Richard Zane. My co-host, Mitch Mason, is out sick this week. He's not feeling well / he had to go to class this morning. So we're going to be joined this week by my roommate, Mr. Zachary Klement, who also experiences off-the-chart levels of battered Aggie syndrome.
This is true.
Much like myself. Introduce yourself, Z.
I'm Zach Klement. What do I say here?
That's pretty much about it. That's the voice you need to listen for. He's a ding-dong. He's my brother. But we've got a lot to talk about this week because last week in college football it was...
all hell broke loose.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
That's exactly how you sum it up. Every amount of chaos that could happen, happened, and except for Alabama. Alabama took care of business, obviously.
Shocker.
But I think we got to go ahead and get started and talk about the Aggies, even though neither of us want to. A&M was ranked 8th in the country last week in the college football playoff poll. Great chance to move up and still contend to be a two-loss team to make the playoff.
Continue to get respect from the playoff committee despite ugly loss to Mississippi State.
Welcome in the what was Ole Miss last week? 4-5. Sub 500, I know that. 4-5 last week.
Yep.
Without their quarterback, Chad Kelly was out for the year, starting a true freshman who just burned his red shirt, Shea Patterson.
It is worth mentioning that he was one of the top recruits.
I agree with that, but at the same time, it's you and I both know that coming out of high school and playing in front of 104,000 at night at Kyle Field is a lot different.
Oh, definitely. But
especially when you've got one of the best, best pass rushers in Myles Garrett.
Okay, but Myles Garrett hasn't been 100% for.
Yeah. Anyways, the Aggies blew a late lead, gave up 23 points in the fourth quarter, lost 29-28, and honestly, I walked out of Kyle Field last Saturday night. My mom was with me, and I was cursing everybody, calling them every bad name in the book, and calling for everybody's head. Because that's just inexcusable.
Losing like that is completely unacceptable. I don't know. I agree with you there, but I think that it's a bit early to be calling for heads. I know that Sumlin's been on the chopping block, or everybody wants him out of here because it's been 5 years.
He was to begin the year. Then we got through Tennessee. We were 6-0, 7-0, I believe. Were we 7-0? No. We just got the 6-0 loss to Alabama. But everybody's like, oh, Kevin Sumlin saved. He's done a great job with this team, even though we've lost 2 quarterbacks the last year. Trevor Knight's been great, helped us a lot. Kevin Sumlin's redeemed. He's going to be in Aggie land for a while, possibly signing an extension. Then the last couple of weeks, his teams have just crapped the bed.
I mean, I don't know.
Against inferior opponents.
The 2 performances the past 2 weeks have been extremely unimpressive and extremely underwhelming. But I think you still have to keep in mind that they did lose Trevor Knight, and that's a huge loss, him being the leader of the team on and off the field. Myles Garrett hasn't been near 100% since the Tennessee game. And, I mean, that is absolutely devastating to lose 2 of your biggest playmakers on both sides of the ball.
It's a good point, and I'll give you that.
I mean, I think that given that, I still think that we have exceeded, or A&M has exceeded expectations thus far. I mean, we were favorites against UCLA, but preseason, many people thought that Tennessee beat us. I think that we're still in a good position to finish, 8-4, which was about where we were projected to be by most everybody. Kevin Sumlin still is doing well with recruiting, and I think that if we were able to add Jarrett Stidham, that would be huge.
Yeah, we'll get into that argument in a little bit. But the fact of the matter is, even though you lost your top quarterback and your top defensive player, Myles Garrett, has not been 100%, you went into halftime last week with a 21-6 lead, and you blew it. You went into the fourth quarter with a 21-6 lead.
Yep.
You pissed it away. Kevin Sumlin, Noel Mazzoni, and John Chavis played not to lose last week. They didn't play to win. And that gets you in trouble. If you do not go out there with a killer mindset, especially in this conference, you're going to get crushed.
I mean,
you're going to get beat.
You really haven't seen that from them all year long, with struggles against UCLA blowing a fourth quarter lead and then having to win it in overtime, and then the same thing with the Tennessee game. And I think that in those games we were able to prevail despite that less aggressive play calling, because we were able to have plays from Trevor Knight and don't quite have the liability at quarterback that Jake Hubenak is.
Yeah. It's a tough situation. Kevin's definitely been put between a rock and a hard place. In my opinion, he's definitely on the hot seat now, especially after last week.
I suppose so. I still think he stays, regardless of the outcome of the LSU game. I think that if
you
somehow lose to UTSA, then that would be...
Oh, if Kevin Sumlin loses this week, he will be out of town by Sunday morning. I guarantee
that. Would be... possibly, but I don't see that happening, and I don't see Kevin Sumlin losing his job. I think that the biggest thing that I look at in that whole situation is, who do you bring in that guarantees that you will do better than what we have been doing thus far?
You and I have talked a little bit. We've talked about Les Miles as a name I threw around.
But that's
He's definitely available.
He's definitely available.
I mean, what other schools would he go to? What other universities would he go to? Who's looking to hire a coach that's going to offer him nearly as much money as A&M would? Baylor?
University of Texas.
No, they've already said they want Tom Herman. Unofficially. They think they're going to get him. Sounds like Tom Herman's going to Austin, especially after his huge win last night.
We will definitely see about that. I'm not sure how. I think that my opinion of Tom Herman is that he's a glorified Kevin Sumlin, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, that we will. We don't really need to speculate anymore. Bottom line is the Aggies have been absolutely pitiful the last couple of weeks. Exactly. Unacceptable. Just terrible to watch. Hard to want to get ourselves up to go to an 11 a.m. game tomorrow. But we'll do it. Hopefully they can get back on track this week and go into the LSU game feeling...
Please be a big win.
Yeah.
Just please.
Yeah, just don't make it close like that ULM game a couple years ago.
Good Lord. Well, if they make it close and they follow it up with a big win, then I'd be okay with that.
Oh, like the Auburn game right after?
There you go. There you go.
We'll move into the rest of the chaos going around the college football landscape last week. Let's begin with number 2 Clemson last week. Played Pitt, Dabo Sweeney and company, Deshaun Watson. They Clemsoning, lost 43-42 at home to Pitt. I don't even know what to say. It's just that's a terrible loss right there.
Yeah, I got to catch the end of that game, and it was, I don't know, it was definitely fun to watch. And Pitt's they got wins over Clemson and Penn State now,
and Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech was ranked, and they were playing well in that when they went into that game.
But Pitt is still 6-4, and that's a loss that Clemson.
I
don't know. I would
beat
say
a lot
that
of good teams.
Clemson can't afford, but
they were close with Penn State. They beat Oklahoma State, who's now in the top 15. Oh, they did.
They did. They lost to Oklahoma State and UNC.
I'm reading that wrong. Yeah, they were close with everybody, really. One score with everybody. Lost to Virginia Tech as well. Lost to Miami. I mean, that's the only game they really haven't been close in, but they haven't been bad. The Pitt Panthers have been really good this year for the Pitt Panthers. We'll move on. Number 3, Michigan went into Iowa City to play the Iowa Hawkeyes. Did you see that they redecorated the locker room?
Oh, the pink locker room?
Yeah, so Iowa...
I heard about that. I didn't see
Iowa's visiting locker room is notorious for being painted pink. It's supposed to give the Hawkeyes a psychological advantage over their opponent. I'm not sure exactly, but you took the words right out of my mouth. Not sure I can buy into that too much, but so Michigan's equipment staff brought in some Michigan flags, some Michigan wallpaper, and put it up all over the locker room to make the Wolverines feel like they were at home in Ann Arbor.
That worked out nicely for them, didn't it?
Yeah, so now Michigan has a loss at home, technically, right? Because they came out of their home locker room. Yeah, Michigan loses 17-16, or 14-13, sorry. Last second field goal. Wilton Spate, shoulder hurt, might not play this week against Indiana. Bad loss for Jim Harbaugh and company. But due to all the other craziness, it just doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt them at all.
It's crazy to see. I think that
it's
truly
only
is
happened
unprecedented for number 2, number 3, and number 4 to go down in the same week.
It's only happened once
before,
and it was like 1985. It's only it's
a while back.
Unbelievable. We'll get to the 4th spot. Washington last week. They took an L.
Man,
USC.
a
lot of people thought that they were going to lose USC.
I'm not a believer in Washington. I think that
I wasn't either. I thought they were going to lose one, maybe 2 games. I still think that the game against Wazoo at the end of the year is tough, and they're going to draw Colorado out of the Pac-12 South in the Pac-12 championship game.
Colorado could very well beat them in that
Colorado's
game.
ranked 10th.
Yep.
They've
had a nice season.
Yes,
so
they
far.
have. They were in it in the first half against Michigan.
One of the biggest surprises this year.
Colorado's been good. Well, we thought we were going to be a big surprise this year.
Yeah, not anymore.
But anyways, yeah, Jake Browning had his Heisman candidacy hurt really bad this week. They are no longer in the driver's seat against in the Pac-12 North. Whoever wins the Washington State-Washington game will represent the Pac-12 North out of the in the Pac-12 championship game. So, interesting to watch. See how they rebound this week against Arizona State. The Sun Devils are absolutely pathetic.
So yeah, that should definitely be a win for Washington, setting up for a huge game, in-state rivalry against Wazoo to finish out the season.
Yeah, a lot of rivalry games are. There are going to be a lot of rivalry games next week that are important. Mm-hmm. That one, the Michigan-Ohio State game.
Always.
Yeah. Moving in, you want to go talk about our recruiting this week? We had some pretty big news come out of Mr. Jarrett Stidham. As you all know, he was a 5-star recruit, played as a true freshman last year at Baylor when Seth Russell got hurt. Left when Coach Art Briles left, when he was publicly shamed for, we found out acts that he did commit. And now Jarrett Stidham's looking for a new place to play and a new coach. He's no longer going to go wherever Art Briles goes because it looks more and more like Mr. Briles is not going to get a job next year, 2017.
Yep, and he's publicly come out and said that his top 2 candidates are Texas A&M and Auburn.
Stidham?
Yes.
Yeah. He was at the game last week.
The A&M game last week. He was at, I believe, Auburn's home opener. But I like our chances here. I think that
he would be a huge get.
Reports that he wanted to come here out of high school, but we wouldn't take him because of Kyler Murray and his commitment.
He who shall not be named.
A promise that Kevin Sumlin made to him about only bringing in 1 quarterback in that class. But I think that he stays in the state and comes to a school that he once wanted to attend. And that would be a huge get for us.
I agree with you. I really like our chances. He would play immediately, wouldn't have to sit out a year because he's not playing this year. He would also just be a sophomore eligibility-wise, which is huge. We could have him for potentially 3 more years, 1 more at the least, I guess, because he has 3 years of college experience. But the best thing about this whole story is we know we've got Kellen Mond committed. He's filled out financial aid paperwork to start and be an early enrollee next year.
He came out and said that he stay committed to us if Jarrett Stidham comes.
Yeah.
He said, I was committed to Baylor when Jarrett Stidham was there, and if he comes to A&M, he'd stay committed to us.
See, I like it feels like we're definitely doing a complete 180 in our quarterback room from last December to now.
Most certainly.
And
most certainly.
And I feel that Trevor Knight we owe a lot to him for that. He's definitely settled down the situation. He's not the best quarterback. We all know that.
Not, but I believe that if we still had him,
I agree.
At this point, we'd have one loss.
Yeah, I agree with
Definitely.
you. But he's done more off the field than he has on the field, and the school is just definitely, the program at least, is in debt to him because he has taken a very poor situation and turned it into a pretty good one for more people have a chance to come in and make real adjustments.
Definitely.
And Jarrett Stidham, we know, can play. We watched him last year. He can throw the ball all over the yard. He's a dual threat guy. He can run.
Definitely, and I think that is one of the biggest components to our offense that makes us successful. And I think that's the primary reason why we've lost the past 2 weeks, because that dual threat quarterback is no longer there. And Jay Kubinak not being mobile really takes a huge phase away from our game. And so if we were able to have Jarrett Stidham come in and have that component back to our offense, I think that would be huge. And then if Kellen Mond would be able to redshirt, that would also be huge.
I agree. Because as much as Jay Kubinak is a great ag, I know you don't like him. He's a pure pocket passer.
He's a good ag and he's a good guy, but he's not a good football player.
Yeah, he's not bad.
He's just not a good fit for us with how our offensive line works right now and how much we need a dynamic dual threat quarterback.
Yeah, very well said right there, and it's just exciting. I love Kellen Mond's comment. Saying, it doesn't make, you said it already, doesn't make a difference if Stidham comes or not. It's just great maturity. It sounds like the two have a great relationship already from the time that Stidham was at Baylor and Mond was committed to Baylor.
And you got to love the attitude and the willingness to compete. I think that is huge as well. Not shying away from competition.
I agree. It's completely different from the two that we had last December. And good riddance.
Good riddance.
So let's go ahead and get into this week. Last night, Thursday night, number 5 Louisville traveled to Houston to play the Cougars, who had fallen from graces. They were now 8-2 going into that week.
But they lost to SMU.
They lost to SMU. A lot of people were doubting Tom Herman and his coaching abilities. But Bobby Petrino, Lamar Jackson, and company, they learned. They were having trouble with the noise last night. Couldn't get anything going.
10 times. Lamar Jackson was sacked 10 times.
They were down 31-0 at one point.
31-0 at the half.
Ended up losing 36-10.
Hey, they won the second half.
Pitiful loss. Who cares?
I'm kidding.
You were down by 31 points in the first half. It doesn't really matter.
That's absolutely unacceptable.
You just pack it up and go back to the land of Papa John's at that point. They were done. This is an embarrassing loss. This almost feels you're the top 5 team in the country and you lost by 26 points.
I just think it's really been a long time
to
coming
a group
for
of 5 to a group of 5 team.
I really do think that it's a long time coming for Louisville. They've had some unimpressive games in my opinion thus far. Beating Duke by 10 earlier in the season. They were they trailed Wake Forest at the half last week. They ended up coming out and putting up something like 30 second half points and blowing them out. But I don't know.
So what do you think this does to Lamar Jackson's Heisman hopes?
That's an interesting question. Obviously I think that with all the hype he's received thus far, I think that he would still be in it and still effectively be in the conversation, but you got to think that a 36-10 loss it's going to hurt.
It should hurt.
I think that
for sure.
Deshaun Watson, he's still in it. He's still up there, even though they lost last week.
I don't think he stands a chance. He's played absolutely night and day differently from the way he did last year when he was a Heisman.
508 yards last week in a loss. His
you lose to Pitt, it doesn't really matter. Everybody should put up 500 points against Pitt. If you don't win the games, it doesn't matter. At this point, I think that Lamar Jackson's still got it locked up. I don't really know who else you give it to.
Donnell Pumphrey from San Diego State nearing 2,000 rushing yards with 2 games left in the season. He's up in the conversation, and I don't know, although he doesn't play for one of the name brand teams and not the same level of competition, if you hit 2,000 rushing yards, that's unbelievable. I saw a statistic last night that he averages 7.9 yards per carry.
He should be in the conversation, but you see a lot of times teams that play on the West Coast, and especially teams that don't play in the Pac-12, are going to be hurt.
Oh, definitely.
And who's the guy from OU that has now been in the conversation?
That wide receiver. Let me get his name here.
Dede Westbrook.
Dede.
Whatever. I messed
I'm
up.
not entirely sure.
Sue me. I mean, right now your top 5 according to ESPN are Lamar Jackson, Donnell Pumphrey from San Diego State, Jalen Hurts, the true freshman quarterback from Alabama.
I think he
stands a pretty good chance, and he's really good. We saw against us that.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 27 touchdowns, 2,000 passing yards, and 735 rushing yards. I mean, and he's got 3 games left to build on that.
He's a stud. He's been good. He's led Alabama to a nice 10-0 record. He's going to play in the Iron Bowl in 2 weeks in a game that, Auburn lost last week too, didn't they?
They did.
I was going to say it could be a top 10. Jeez, everybody lost. If you're a top 10 team, chances are you lost last week. But I still think Lamar Jackson's got it wrapped up even after this last game. And you haven't seen that he's gone down yet because they haven't updated it.
Right.
But we need to talk about the rest of the games this week. There aren't very many good games because everybody's getting ready to play in their rivalry games next week. A&M's got LSU on Thanksgiving. Ohio State's got Michigan. Alabama's got Auburn. All kinds of stuff that's huge. But nobody's getting ready for big games this week. Thing that I would like to touch on, number 21, Western Michigan. That's a good story. The Broncos are hosting College Game Day in Kalamazoo this week. First time ever. They're 10-0. They're one of 2 teams that are undefeated. Them and Alabama.
Yawn.
They're gonna be in a New Year's Six bowl, but they shouldn't. Man, obviously, they're not anywhere close to being in conversation for the playoff. It's nice to see. It's good to see.
I couldn't disagree with you more. I hate teams like that. You play nobody. You don't do anything. You have an undefeated record. Congratulations.
Would they beat us?
No, they would not.
The way we played the last couple weeks, they might.
I don't care. No.
They might.
No.
They might.
No. They would not beat us.
North Dakota State beat Iowa. Iowa beat Michigan, so therefore North Dakota State beat Michigan, right?
No, that's not how it works.
It could happen. It could happen.
It could happen, and it won't. It wouldn't happen.
It definitely could, though. So, A&M plays UTSA this week, 11 a.m. tomorrow on ESPNU. Get to Kyle Field. Don't get there early, obviously, because the kickoff's early. Alabama plays Chattanooga. Washington plays Arizona State. USC plays UCLA. The only pretty big game this week is OU and West Virginia. And let's be completely honest, I don't care about the Big 12. Nobody's going to the college football playoff. You're irrelevant.
I agree with that, but we also have LSU playing Florida, correct?
Oh yeah, that is this week.
It's a ranked matchup with number 16 LSU and number 23.
That is a good
Florida.
catch. I did not even see that. I just figured the entire SEC is playing nobody. But I guess that's because
the
hurricane.
Whole hurricane thing, Florida not wanting to play.
Florida's going to get theirs this week.
I think so.
They're going to get beat. A lot of strange stuff going on.
Interesting game, although we mentioned the Big 12 and thinking that it's irrelevant. I think that the Oklahoma State TCU game has the potential to be a good game. I think that TCU could come out there and beat number 11 OSU.
Yeah, I would agree with that. OSU's just not that good. We've seen that Baylor is not that good. That's been proven the last couple weeks, and they beat OSU by 11 points. OSU also lost to Central Michigan. They struggled against Iowa State.
On that one bad call.
They gave up 20 points to Kansas. Lost to West Virginia, or they beat West Virginia. They got lucky last week against Texas Tech. They're insanely overrated at number 11. think it's easy for Aggies to say people are overrated now that we were overrated, but it should be a good game. See what Mason Rudolph can do against Kenny Hill and the Horned Frogs. Wouldn't be surprised if it's not much, but definitely a down week across the college football landscape. Just a couple good matchups.
But that's okay after a week like last week.
Yeah,
and you never know. Some of the top teams could lose to unsuspecting foes in a down week like this.
Exactly. I want to say that I would like to go ahead and circle a game that could be an upset. And you're going to call me crazy for this, but Clemson could struggle with Wake Forest this week.
Don't see it happening.
You don't see it happening, but that's what I'm just saying. It's a possibility. It could happen.
Sure.
Because Wake Forest was tied at halftime with Louisville. And after losing last week, Clemson might have trouble getting going.
I think Clemson will light them up.
Yeah, we will see. We shall see, that's for sure. I think that'll just about do it for us. Zach, thanks. I appreciate it. It's nice to know you're always here. Mitch can't fill in or can't make it. I don't know what his schedule next week is because it's kind of a weird week, so you might be back here with me. But everybody out there, I appreciate y'all listening to us.
It's been a pleasure. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, hope y'all have a great week. Hopefully the Aggies can get back on track this week. And hopefully Kevin Sumlin doesn't lose his job. So for my friend Zach Klement, I'm Richard Zane, and everybody at the It's About Us podcast, thank you. And gig 'em.